Everybody, welcome back to another Coach's Log. It's been a week, and what have I been doing? Training camp. And you might be surprised to hear that, considering that everybody and their brother's in lockdown mode right now, travel restrictions and that sort of thing. That does not keep me from continuing my own personal training. Every spring, I either provide a training camp for myself and or include those folks that are in my practice. Not every year am I able to get together with everyone that I coach, but I try and I make that as a substantial offer to everybody. That fee is pretty inexpensive considering what all goes on in a camp. And primarily the fee is just lodging for those folks that I coach. For those that come from outside the practice, meaning they want to participate in a camp, but they aren't part of the coaching practice itself, we do make spots available to them too, but it's always first come, first serve. And we limit the number of people. So this year, there was no in-person training camp. So what do I do in that situation? Well, in this particular case, I decided to go on with my training. Now, quite honestly, the week leading up to last week was a brutal week of training for me. So actually, the normal training camp schedule would have been a lot of longer, steady miles with some sweet spot interval workouts to be done. But I spent the vast majority of my time in recovery last week. Part of it was a little bit of fear on my part with the virus, the pandemic, and making sure that I'm not overtaxing myself and compromising my immune system. I have no means or methods of measuring whether I am or I am not, just going on the general guidance of doctors and things like that are working for USA Cycling and from other channels of how athletes can best help themselves. But that doesn't mean that work wasn't done. Training camps aren't always about physical work. Sometimes it's about teamwork. Sometimes it's about connecting with your team, your directors, your coaches, your other supporting staff. Now, in my case, when I have a camp, there's a very large physical component of it. We're going to be riding, we're going to be running, we may be lifting, we may be doing some yoga, we may be doing some flexibility work. But there's also sometimes a skills component. And I worked on some of that myself recently, where you get refamiliarized with maybe riding outdoors. Maybe you've been doing everything indoors and now is the time to get outside. Now, I realize that some locations aren't allowing any sort of physical activity outdoors. I know that's not everywhere, but in some places it is. And so you're still restricted. But we can also educate ourselves. I think the biggest takeaway I can give to anyone who's trying to host their own personal training camp is that you need to become a student of your sport. Make sure you understand the rules and regulations of your sport. If you haven't read the rule book in a while, I know it can be a bit of a sleeper, but it's very, very helpful to help you craft the best way forward. I'm going to leave some links in here on many topics and articles that I've written about training camps and past training camp experiences. I'm not going to wear this out because it's something that I've talked about a lot. And if you've got questions about this or hosting your own camp and things to include or maybe exclude, let me know. I'd be very curious to see if we can help you out. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your training week, and we'll talk again very soon.